Okay, I have a very interesting guest with me today, guys. You remember him. It's Mike Crispi. We talked about the video he made about my video about Andrew Tate that went viral, my tweet about Andrew Tate. We did a little breakdown of his video. He asked me after I posted my response to his video if I wanted to civilly debate the topic, and I said, of course I do. That's exactly what I want to do. I love to do that. I invited him on the show. Of course, we're all busy people, so we weren't able to make it work for last week, but we are finally able to sit down and have this conversation. Mike Crispi, before we even get started, you host a show for Salem. You host a show on Rumble. You want to tell people where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Rumble.com/LFATV, every day streaming live at 12 Eastern, and Salem News Channel on the weekend, Salem Podcast Network. And Liz, thank you so much for having me.
Of course, it's great to have you here. So we're going to talk about Andrew Tate today, and I want to remind everybody watching, especially some of the people that are like, are we still talking about this topic? Why this is so important. Andrew Tate was the most Googled person in the world just, I think, a year or two ago. I mean, he's still right up there. His video interview on Twitter with Tucker Carlson was viewed by something like 100 million people, a huge percentage of internet consumers in the world. He is one of the, if not the biggest cultural influence on young men. And this is a huge culture issue. Of course, we should have this discussion. Mike was generous enough to want to have this debate. And Mike, I think what's really interesting is you and I agree on like 95% of political stuff. We agree on Trump. We agree on electioneering. I took a look at your Twitter account after you posted this video, and I thought, oh yeah, this guy is pretty like-minded with me. So it makes it actually more interesting to me that we have differing viewpoints or differing takes on Andrew Tate, since we generally see the world in the same way other than this issue. So what I want to do first is I want to give you the floor. I want you to make your case. Make your case for Andrew Tate. Tell me your thoughts.
Yes, I'll tell you about Andrew Tate. I mean, first and foremost, if you look at anything Andrew Tate has posted in the last couple of years, 95.5% of what's out there is positive. It's all about things that young men should hear, but they're not hearing. It's going to the gym. It's not making excuses. It's having a tough mindset. It's being a provider, right, for the family, doing things the right way. So I don't think anybody out there, Liz, has said things like this in as direct terms as Andrew Tate. He's an incredibly gifted communicator, and I think he's used his talents as a communicator to talk to young men in a cutting-edge, quick way that grabs the attention in this TikTok economy that we're in and get young people to be better versions of themselves. Is he perfect? No. Is anybody perfect? No. But the thing about Andrew Tate is that I believe he's the one man that's had more of a positive influence on young men than anybody I could think of in this generation, because he has a very unique set of skills. So I think that that should be celebrated. And I think that the reason why they demonize Andrew Tate is because they do not want his effect on young men to be felt. They want to dismiss him, similar to how they dismissed Donald Trump. They say, oh, all these things, Access Hollywood, look, he's getting sued by this crazy person because they said he raped them in a dressing room store. These crazy, outlandish stories. I think Donald Trump and Andrew Tate have very similar archetypes. I think they have very similar stories of being on a path and then using the gifts that they have from God for good. So definitely a big supporter of what Andrew Tate's doing. He has had a positive effect on many people I know, including myself. And I think, again, the things that he preaches, specifically being independently wealthy so you can escape the matrix, escape the system. I think that's more important than anything. I mean, I know some people might call it materialism or what have you, but I think it's the single most important message that he espouses, is that the only way you're going to be able to break free, have your own opinion, not be subjected to experimental vaccines and mandates and stuff like that, is if you have your own independent wealth and life and the right mindset. So I think that's what Andrew Tate preaches. I really think what he's doing is for the greater good. And I think that the mainstream media has attacked him and demonized him on these unfounded allegations, which could easily be debunked. But this is what the mainstream media does, just like with Donald Trump. Liz, I think they're doing the same thing with Andrew Tate.
Well, and I find this to be interesting because I agree with you on many of these points. I agree with you that Andrew Tate is very charismatic. That's pretty obvious to anybody who watches him. I agree that some of what he's preaching, the independent thinking, like you and I both agree with that, of course. I mean, I didn't get the COVID jab. I assume you maybe didn't either. Andrew Tate didn't either. We are in the minority globally of people who didn't get it. So I can appreciate that no matter who that's coming from. I think what I have observed about Andrew Tate is that he does serve a unique position in the world right now in that he is accurately diagnosing a serious cultural ill. You and I agree that there is a a war against men that's happening. It's not something that's new. This has been happening for decades, but it is more concentrated now than it was with the Me Too movement, with Believe All Women, with trying to feminize men. I mean, it's grotesque and it's dangerous for our society. Andrew Tate recognizes that and articulates that and pushes back against that in a way. Again, I agree with you. There's not a lot of people with his global fame who are doing the same thing. I'm interested in your thoughts on this. So if you'll indulge me in explaining myself here, I think it's very easy for our culture to identify something that's wrong. Now, whether you have the courage to speak out against that wrong is a different question, but it's easy to look at like transgender strippers and drag queen story hour and be like, that's wrong, that's evil, I don't want that for my kid. What's not as easy is to define what's right, to define what's good, to define what's beautiful, to define essentially the antidote for the wrong that we are identifying. And this is my factual observation about Andrew Tate, is that he accurately diagnoses a very real, very critical problem in our culture, but what he prescribes as a solution is really a self-destructive path for young men: materialism, pornography, exploitation of women, and worship of self. And I don't want that for young men because I think it's very harmful. But I'm interested in what you have to say about the idea of diagnosing a cultural ill accurately, but not prescribing what's right.
Well, yes, and that was a tweet that got this all started. So, I mean, the first thing, and I'll just go in order here, pornography. I mean, obviously the webcam business, which he was engaged in and then got out of. I think
Wait a second. I don't like interrupting, but I do want to put this. Wait a second. What is a webcam business? I don't even like that phrase. Like, what is that?
Well, the webcam business in which he was doing, and I was going to say, I mean, it is pornographic in its nature, but nobody has denounced porn more than Andrew Tate, if you look at any of his videos in the last couple of years. Now, he had that interview the other day with Candace Owens, and he said, listen, this is my past, and we could have a conversation that it is immoral. I think he cedes that it was immoral, but just like so many people in pop culture and in modern culture and in politics, including Donald Trump, that we celebrate as heroes, they have personal growth. So I think Andrew Tate would say that things are immoral, and I don't think anybody, Liz, has been a bigger speaker against pornography than Andrew Tate. Any chance he gets. I saw him the other day. He was doing the interview with Adam22, Aiden Ross, and Lena the Plug. He was speaking against it. He said, this is an uncomfortable conversation. It's a godless conversation. I don't watch porn. I never want to watch porn. People who watch porn are weak and they're selling their soul. So he said that now for a number of years consistently. And I think inherently that's a good thing. So, the webcam business, not good, but I think that he definitely has said, and he said it in Candace's show the other day, you could have the conversation that it's immoral, but it's part of his path to get him to where he is now. And that is closer to God in his faith, obviously becoming a Muslim. The next one, materialism. Again, I think that it's okay.
Wait a second. Let me respond to this before we go through each one. Let me respond to this before we go, because I don't want things to get lost. These are all important points that you're making. So I'm a believer in redemption. I'm a Christian. I'm a practicing Christian. I, of course, believe, if you're contrite and you regret what you do, you apologize. Like, I'm all about forgiveness. Like, of course, I think most conservatives are in general. I don't hear that from Andrew Tate. I mean, in the Candace Owens interview, I also watched that. He said, I'm not sorry for any of this. He said, I don't regret this. I'm not going to apologize. He said, I didn't hurt anybody with what I did. I don't think it was all that bad. Those are direct quotes from him. So I want to ask you, would you ever run a pornography business if it profited you $600,000 a month?
No, but I think that clearly what he's saying there is that what he did led to who he is now. I just wouldn't do it. I'm in the media. I'm in podcasting. That was his life path. Everyone has different life paths to get them to where
But why wouldn't you? This is really important. It's not a trick question. It's not a trick question. I want you to make your point, but why wouldn't you?
Just not interested in it. It's not a good thing. But not everybody who is carrying out the good in today's society is a perfect person. Andrew Tate, just like so many other people, just like Donald Trump, they're an imperfect vessel that goes on to do something very consequential and good for humanity.
Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.